Hi viewers, this is J. Swami, Assistant Professor of Zoology. Today we are going to discuss the blood clotting mechanism or process of blood coagulation. Under this, we will see some terms. First one is the hemostasis. Hemostasis is nothing but the stoppage of bleeding. Stoppage of bleeding. Hemostasis is a sequence of responses that stops bleeding. Whenever a vessel is get ruptured, hemostasis is achieved by several mechanisms such as vascular constriction, formation of platelet plug, and the blood clotting. In general, as long as the blood is in the blood vessels, it is in fluid state. If blood is drawn from the body, then it forms a gel called clot. For example, if the blood vessel, otherwise blood capillary or capillary bed, if it is get ruptured, the blood platelets they fused with each other among themselves and they close the ruptured place. Blood is the fluid connective tissue so that it is flows easily in the blood capillaries because it is always in the fluid state while it is flowing in the blood capillaries because of the presence of anticoagulants like the heparin. Anticoagulants like the heparin, chemically it is a polysaccharide. The basophils and the mast cells which are present in our body, they undergo degradation to form the polysaccharide like the heparin. Whenever they undergo degradation, the heparin released into the plasma that keeps the blood in the fluid state. That keeps the blood in the fluid state. So whenever it is drawn, the blood is drawn from the blood vessels to the outside. Otherwise, there is any damage to the blood vessels, otherwise the tissues, then thereby the bleeding will be stopped by the process which is known as the blood coagulation, otherwise blood clotting. Whenever there is any damage due to the accident and some other thing, there will be a bleeding and this bleeding will be stopped in order to inhibit the loss of blood. Then that is also known as the hemostasis. So wherever we find out the damage of the tissue, there will be a network formed by the thread-like structures and all the blood cells, otherwise the blood elements like the WBC, RBC, blood platelets, they stuck into it and they form the blood clot, otherwise the blood coagulation. In general, what happens, sometimes abnormally some clots formed in the blood vessels. There are abnormal clots formed in the blood vessels, that is known as the thrombus. Abnormal blood clots in the blood vessels is known as thrombus. The free floating clot in the blood, actually this thrombus is always fused to the blood vessel. If they are released from the blood vessel, if they are freely floating within the blood circulation, then that is known as the embolus. Thrombus is the abnormal blood clot and the embolus, it is the floating blood clot within the blood vessels. This is the introduction to the blood clotting phenomena. And for the first time, the blood clotting was discovered by the Hayem. The name of the scientist was Hayem in the year 1878. After 10 years, in 1888, there were two scientists, Eberth and Schimmelbusch. Eberth and Schimmelbusch, they explained the entire blood clotting phenomena. What they explained is, in general, if there is a blood vessel, so in the blood we have the blood platelets, These blood platelets over their surface they have negative charge. Due to the presence of the negative charge over their surface, the adjacent blood platelets also do not combine with each other, they repel from each other, they distract from each other. At the same time, the endothelial cells of the blood capillary they also have the negative charge. Thereby, the platelets they do not interact with the walls of the blood vessel also. That is, blood platelets they themselves do not interact with each other due to the negative charge over their surface, and they do not interact, they do not bind with the blood vessel walls also due to the presence of negative charge over the endothelial cells of the blood vessel or blood capillary. They freely move. As and when there is any damage, as and when there is any damage to the blood vessel wall, then thereby there is a removal of negative charge and that becomes positive, and thereby the blood platelets which are with the negative charge they come and contact with the positive charged place, that is the damaged place, and thereby they form the white plaques and they fill up the entire damaged area. Incision will be closed, and thereby they inhibit the bleeding and tend to hemostasis. They help in the hemostasis. After the complete healing of the wound, there will be a rejuvenation, otherwise the degradation of platelets takes place from the site of incision, site of damage. So this is about the blood clotting and related scientists and their concept. Coming to the blood clotting factors, there are certain factors which are involving in the blood clotting phenomena. Basically, there are 13 factors. Out of these 13 factors, sixth factor is get omitted. So totally we have only 12 factors. Sixth factor is get omitted. We will see their number and as well as the name of the factors. Factor number 1 is the fibrinogen. Factor number 2, prothrombin. Factor number 3, thromboplastin, or it is also known as the tissue factor. Factor number 4, calcium ions. Factor number 5, accelerator globulin, otherwise labile factor. And factor number 6 is omitted. Then factor number 7 is a proconvertin, otherwise stable factor. And factor number 8, anti-hemophilic factor. It is very, very important, the hemophilia. So a gene which is responsible for the synthesis of this factor, due to the mutation, due to the absence of that particular gene, anti-hemophilic factor A may not be synthesized, and due to the lack of anti-hemophilic factor A, the individual they get hemophilia type A. And factor number 9, which is known as the Christmas factor or PTC, plasma thromboplastin component. PTC is the plasma thromboplastin component, and it is also known as the anti-hemophilic factor B. Due to the lack of this factor, factor number 9, the individuals are supposed to get hemophilia type B. If it is lack of factor number 8, they get hemophilia type A, that is a breeder's disease. So it is also one kind of disease from the hemophilia. This is hemophilia B due to the lack of factor number 9. And coming to the factor number 10, Stewart-Prover factor. The Stewart and the Prover are the names of the scientists. It is also known as the thrombokinase. Factor number 11 is the plasma thromboplastin antecedent. It is also known as the PTA. Factor number 9 is the PTC, and factor number 11 is the PTA, plasma thromboplastin antecedent. It is also known as the anti-hemophilic factor C. And 12th factor is the Hedgeman factor or Hegman factor, and 13 is the fibrin stabilizing factor. Fibrin stabilizing factor. So here Out of 13, one is get omitted. So remaining 1 dozen factors are there, 12 factors are there. So these are involved in the process of blood clotting. Now, out of these 12 factors, vitamin K is required for the synthesis of factor number 2, factor number 7, factor number 9 and factor number 10. Factor numbers 2, 7th, 9th and 10th, they require vitamin K for their synthesis. Actually, they are synthesized in the hepatic cells of the liver. They are synthesized in hepatic cells of the liver under the presence of the vitamin K. Vitamin K, so that it is known as a anti-hemorrhagic vitamin. Hemorrhage is the bleeding. Anti-hemorrhage, which prevents the bleeding. So these are the factors. Factor number 2, 7, 9 and 10th. They synthesized by hepatic cells of liver and they require vitamin K for their synthesis. Then we will see the process of blood clotting. Mechanism of blood clotting involves 3 steps. The first and foremost step is the formation of thromboplastin. Second one is the conversion of prothrombin to thrombin. And third one is the conversion of fibrinogen to fibrin. So this is all a cascade reaction. What is a cascade reaction? Activation of one component of a large process that in turn activates subsequent factors. Such a kind of process is known as the cascade reaction. So in this, the first step is the formation of thromboplastin. It is also known as the prothrombinase. So this thromboplastin or the prothrombinase is responsible for the conversion of prothrombin into the thrombin. This thrombin again used to convert the soluble fibrinogen into the insoluble fibrin. So it is a continuous and cascade reaction. The mechanism of blood clotting takes place in 3 phases, 3 steps. Formation of thromboplastin or prothrombinase, conversion of prothrombin into thrombin. Third one, conversion of fibrinogen into fibrin. See one by one. Here, formation of prothrombinase or thromboplastin takes place in 2 ways. Formation of prothrombinase takes place in 2 ways. One is the intrinsic pathway. Intrinsic pathway is a pathway where there is a damage to the internal blood vessels. The platelets, damaged platelets, they form the thromboplastin or prothrombinase. Whereas the extrinsic pathway is one where the damage of tissues, otherwise the damaged tissues, they tend to form the thromboplastin or prothrombinase. That is there are 2 thromboplastins. One is the plasma thromboplastin, another one is the tissue thromboplastin. Plasma thromboplastin formed by the intrinsic pathway, whereas the tissue thromboplastin has been formed by the extrinsic pathway. In the intrinsic pathway, damaged blood vessels, internal blood vessels and their damaged platelets, they tend to form the plasma thromboplastin, whereas in the extrinsic pathway, damaged tissues, they take care of the formation of the thromboplastin or prothrombinase. How will it take place? Let us see. See here, in the intrinsic pathway, the formation of thromboplastin takes place by the surface activators, whereas in the extrinsic pathway by the tissue factors. See, it is showing the entire coagulation pathway. Let us discuss only first one. The intrinsic pathway of the formation of the thromboplastin or prothrombin is initiated by injury in the vascular endothelium. It is very slower reaction and more important reaction. So it is start with the factor number 12, that is a Hegman factor or Hegman factor. Whenever there is a damage to the vascular endothelium, then the 12th factor get activated. A indicates the activated 12th factor. Inactivated Hedgeman factor get activated into activated Hedgeman factor. That in turn activates the factor number 11. Factor number 11 is the PTA, plasmothromboplast antecedent, otherwise anti-hemophilic factor C. So it is get activated. This 11th factor that activates the 9th factor under the presence of calcium ions. The 9th factor is Christmas factor or plasmothromboplast component, or it is also known as the anti-hemophilic factor B. It is also get activated. And finally, this activated Christmas factor activates factor number 8, that is the anti-hemophilic factor, anti-hemophilic globulin A, anti-hemophilic factor A. So thereby the platelets finally they form the AHG, anti-hemophilic globulin A, otherwise anti-hemophilic factor A. And at the end of this stage, we will find out the formation of the accelerator globulin and plasma thromboplastin. At the end of the intrinsic factor steps, we will get plasma thromboplastin. On the other hand, if there is any injury to the tissues in the extrinsic pathway, external injury, the tissues with the help of calcium ions and the factor number 7, proconvertin or stable factor, they form the tissue thromboplastin. Okay, in the intrinsic pathway, plasma thromboplastin has been formed. In the extrinsic pathway, tissue thromboplastin has been. So whatever it may be, whether there is any damage in the inside, otherwise exterior parts, so finally the thromboplastin, otherwise prothrombinase, has been formed. That is the first step. That is the first step that takes place in two ways, extrinsic pathway and the intrinsic pathway. So after the two steps, after the formation of the factors, the remaining steps are common. Remaining steps are common. Right? Now, in the next step, what happens? Conversion of prothrombin into thrombin by prothrombinase enzyme, otherwise the protein. How it will be get converted? That is the factor of at the end of these extrinsic intrinsic factors, we will get the thrombokinase, otherwise Stewart power factor, otherwise prothrombinase. This prothrombin that converted into thrombin under the presence of thromboplastin or prothrombinase enzyme. Now this thrombin that has the ability to convert the fibrinogen into the fibrin. That is the next step, conversion of fibrinogen into fibrin by the thrombin. So what is the difference in between fibrinogen and the fibrin is, in general, fibrinogen is actually in the inactive form and it is in the soluble form. Soluble protein is the fibrinogen. It is always in the monomeric form. Single units are present. And the thrombin that converts fibrinogen to the fibrin. What is the fibrin? It is also a soluble protein, but it gets polymerized. Fibrin get polymerized and thereby it becomes a fibrin thread. It get modified into a fibrin thread, and due to the action of 13th factor, which is the fibrin stabilizing factor, the stability is achieved by the polymer of fibrin. Polymer of fibrin. That is, the thrombin converts the fibrinogen, which is soluble, into the insoluble fibrin polymer. So the mediator is the thrombin. So the factor number 13 that stabilizes the fibrin filament, fibrin thread. So let us see here. In the second step, prothrombin get converted into thrombin, which is activated. Okay. So factor number 2, activated thrombin. Now this thrombin that converts the fibrinogen into the fibrin. Fibrinogen is the first factor that forms the clot. While it is going to form the clot, there will be involvement of the factor number 13. What is the factor number 13? Fibrin stabilizing factor. Fibrin stabilizing factor. So it takes place in 3 steps. The entire blood clot mechanism takes place in 3 steps. So entire it is up to this line. It is all step number 1. And the conversion of prothrombin into the thrombin, it is step number 2. And the conversion of fibrinogen into the fibrin, it is the step number 3. So these are the basic steps which are involved in the blood clotting phenomena. So whenever there is a damage to the tissue like this, all the fibrin fibers, they form a network like this, and into the network all the RBC, WBC, blood platelets, they come and stuck within this all the network like structure, and due to the stacking of all these, the entire incision will be get closed. That is the entire process of the blood coagulation mechanism, which takes place in 3 steps. First one is the formation of thromboplastin or prothrombinase from intrinsic and extrinsic pathways. Second one is the conversion of prothrombin into thrombin by the prothrombinase. And third one is the conversion of fibrinogen into fibrin by thrombin. Okay. Come to the certain anticoagulants. So at the starting we have discussed that blood is a fluid connective tissue. It flows in the blood vessels in the fluid form, in the liquid form, due to the presence of anticoagulants like heparin. Heparin is the anticoagulant. Chemically it is a polysaccharide which is formed from the breaking down of basophils and the mast cells which are present in our body. They are released into the heparin released into the plasma. That takes care of the fluidity of the blood which is present inside the, whenever it is present in the blood vessels. Right? Now, what is the mechanism behind the keeping blood fluidity of the blood is heparin. It increases the activity of the antithrombin, which inactivates the thrombin, and thereby it keeps the blood in a fluid state. And coming to the second one, hemolysins. Hemolysins are the chemicals which are present in the organisms which suck the blood, like the mosquitoes. These mosquitoes, female mosquitoes, they suck the blood from various hosts, and this blood, whenever it is sucked from the body, that should be get clotted. But due to the presence of the anticoagulants like the hemolysins, they keep the blood, host blood, in the liquid form due to the presence of the hemolysins. And another term, that is hirudin. Hirudin is the anticoagulant agent which is seen in the leeches. What are the leeches? These are the annelids from the Hirudinia class. Hirudinia granula is the Indian cattle leech. So these leeches, they are the sanguivorous in nature. They feed upon the blood as the ectoparasites on the vertebrates, and thereby whenever they feed on blood, whenever they suck the blood from the host, in order to inhibit the clotting of the blood, then they use the hirudin as the anticoagulant agent. Hirudin is the anticoagulant agent which is seen in the leeches. And coming to the next one, it is the lampredin. What is the lamprey? Is the cyclostome which is known as the petromyzon. The common name of the petromyzon is the lamprey. So the anticoagulant which is present in the lamprey is the lampredin. The anticoagulant which is present in the lamprey is the lampredin. Lamprey is the petromyzon. So it is also showing the ectoparasitic mode of life, And this is a sanguivorous animal, that is those animals which feed on blood are termed as the sanguivorous. So they have the anticoagulant like the lampredin. And some of the anticoagulants from the plant source, coumarins. Coumarins are they are from the plant origin and are precursors of the anticoagulants such as warfarin, otherwise the coumadin. Warfarin is also known as the coumadin. These are from the plant source. In general, both in the intrinsic and extrinsic pathway, the calcium ions play a major role. Calcium ions are required in both in the extrinsic and intrinsic pathways. Hence, the calcium ions are removed. Then the blood will be stored in the blood banks. After removal of calcium ions, they store the blood in the blood banks. So, in order to remove the calcium ions, they usually add EDTA, ethylene diamine tetraacetic acid. Ethylene diamine tetraacetic acid, that is the EDTA. If you add this to the blood, it removes the calcium ions and keeps the blood in the blood bank. And some of the times they also use the sodium citrate and the sodium oxalate, citrate salts and the oxalate salts. They also use it to remove the calcium from the blood, and thereby that will be safely stored in the blood banks and that will be used for the further use. So these are the anticoagulants which you will see in the various animals. Then this is the overview of the entire blood clotting mechanism. Blood clotting mechanism takes place in 3 stages: vascular constriction or spasm, platelet plug formation, coagulation. And the stages of blood clotting are formation of the prothrombinase in both ways, intrinsic and extrinsic pathways. So this is step number 1. And the second step is conversion of prothrombin into thrombin, and third step is conversion of fibrinogen into the fibrin. So fibrinogen is soluble, whereas fibrin polymer is insoluble in nature. And the conclusion is, the blood clotting mechanism is a crucial physiological balance exists between factors promoting coagulation, that is the coagulants or procoagulants, and the factors that inhibiting the coagulation, anticoagulants. That is, there should be a balance in between these two, coagulants and the anticoagulants. Coagulation of blood depends on the balance between these two factors, and any disturbance in this balance could lead to the thrombosis or bleeding. So inhibition of bleeding is the blood clotting phenomena. So this is all about the blood clotting, hemostasis, okay, and the relevant terms and the factors which are involving in the blood clotting phenomena. Why? Because it is very very important topic in the competitive examination point of view. Most of the times they'll ask what is the thrombus and what is the embolus. Otherwise, we have to remember, we have to by heart all the 12 factors, serial number of the factor and the name of the factor and their use and usage of the vitamin K, then followed by the 3 steps which are involving in the blood clotting mechanism, that is formation of the thromboplastin or prothrombinase. Second one is conversion of prothrombin into thrombin under the catalytic activity of the prothrombinase, and the third one is the conversion of fibrinogen, which is soluble, into the insoluble fibrin polymer. So all this we have to remember. And in certain examination papers we also see the anticoagulants, especially the hemolysins, hirudin, lampredin and the coumarin, warfarin, like that things we have to observe. So most of the competitive exams, at least one question may be asked, so that you have to remember all these things like the factors and all those. Thank you one and all.